Hello friends, in today's video I'll be taking a look at this 1/24 scale plastic kit of the MG Metro 6R4 by Belkits. This one being the Rally Monte Carlo 1986 version. They also have the Rothmans version from the Lombard RAC Rally of 1986 available, but aside from the Decals instructions, both kits are identical. So let's take a look inside the box. I changed from the norm here in that the instructions are placed on top instead of at the bottom of the kit. This makes it handy for studying before assembly, because let's face it, the box is jam-packed as this, digging to the bottom to get the instructions, you'll never manage to get the box to close again. Anyway, we'll take a look at the instructions and decals at the end. For now, let's focus on the plastic. Well, having said that, the first three bags aren't plastic at all. The first has the photo etch, as well as a couple of pins and some wire. I believe this is for the aerial. The next has some ribbing. This will be for the seat belts. And the third has a window mask and some metal transfers, including a very nicely done MG badge. Up next is a bag containing a rubber sprue and the tyres. The sprue looks to contain the mud flaps, polycaps and some pipes and cables. The chrome sprue doesn't hold much, just the light bezels for the lamp pod and the headlights, and a couple of smaller lights. Hopefully this warping hasn't affected the parts, nor a common occurrence. Moving on to the clear sprue, everything is perfectly transparent, and I can't see any excess flash or moulding errors. The first of the main sprues doesn't contain much, but what it does has extraordinary levels of detail moulded in. On the sprue is the chassis and interior tubs, the side panels which include the door cards, and the seats. Next up we have the wheels, a selection of engine bay components including the throttle bodies, cam covers and air filters, as well as the rear spoiler. Whilst the moulding is clean, a lot of the finer detail has a soft appearance rather than being sharp and crisp. This sprue is nice and crisp though. This one has the underguards, subframes, suspension and transmission parts. A couple more engine parts are included here, but most notably is the exhausts. And unfortunately, the manifold section isn't correct for the international spec of 6R4. That is basically what the factory called their rally cars. These exhausts are actually the clubman spec, which is basically what the road versions were. Whilst it's technically an inaccuracy, what you're likely going to see of them once they're installed, you probably won't notice the difference. The next sprue holds the roll cage pieces, as well as the rest of the interior parts and the main engine block. All clean mouldings on this one though. The last sprue consists of mostly exterior body parts like the front bumper, lamp pod pieces and spoiler, as well as the side pods and smaller parts like the window wipers and front grille. Crisp moulding for the majority, but a little flashing on a few bits. As is the norm with Belkits, inside this box is the body shell. The proportions look good, though the mould lines look like they'll need a bit of clean up. One thing I have noticed though is that the rain gutter on the roof, it should extend further down the A-pillar. Also the whole shape of it is wrong, and it shouldn't double in thickness after the door like it does here. Not sure how easy that would be to correct though. Anyway, let's have a look at the decals. The printing looks good, but that's to be expected as the decals come from Cartograph. There is a very strange error with these though, and that's the name of the co-driver, Nigel Harris. The decals are printed as Angel Harris, a very odd inaccuracy that somehow reeks of predictive text. but whatever the cause, it's very strange that it wasn't picked up in any stages before mass production started, and so far no aftermarket decal company has produced a correction set, so for me at least this is a major issue. But now let's move on to the instructions. If you have any experience with Belkits, then you'll know that these have always been a weak point, with step overcrowding and unclear 3D renderings. So have they improved? Well, the first thing that I noticed when I picked them up is that for the first time they are printed on glossy paper. This move has therefore also improved the sharpness of the print. As well as on opening them up, you can clearly see that there has been a major improvement. The 3D renders are now perfectly clear, which looks to be the result of added shading. The steps have also been spaced out rather than trying to add everything in one go. Here on step 10, we can see what the metal pins were for, an interesting take on making the steering functional. However, on step 14, I have noticed another inaccuracy, and that's with the placement of part 28, which is the battery. As is quite clear, this is a typical lead acid type, which if used inside a motorsport vehicle must be enclosed in a protective casing, even back then. So I decided to do some research and found the correct location for the battery should be under the bonnet, where the Metro 6R4 has a special cradle for it mounted above the front differential. To correct this, all you have to do is leave this part out and fill the location holes. As the bonnet doesn't open, you're not going to notice it missing from under there. The rest of the instructions are again very clear and easy to follow. The colour callouts look great printed on this glossy paper, but again here is the Angel Harris spelling mistake. So what are my thoughts on this kit? On the whole, the kit is great. Excellent levels of detail, clear and easy to follow instructions, and is for the most part cleanly moulded. The only letdown is the few inaccuracies, namely the spelling mistake. The other issues are either unnoticed, easily fixed, or can be ignored depending on your preference. The retail price for this kit is £60, but I found it online for £50, and at that I feel satisfied. Plus the £10 saving can then go to correction decals if they ever do appear. And so with that concludes my review of the 1/24 scale Metro 6R4 Rally Monte Carlo 1986 by Belkits. If you've enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, ta-ta!